just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge 9/11 and the tragedies that occurred 19 years ago. So we're going to have a clip about that first, and then we'll be back to our regular episode for the day. You're listening to Those Other Girls. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Mallory.
And today's a very special episode. We are doing a tribute to the lives that were lost on September 11th, 2001. So we just wanted to take this time to honor the nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives, to honor the firefighters, the policemen, the rescue workers,
First
responders, the businesses affected, the families affected. And we just really want to honor you and
discuss it. So we were both alive. We were young, but we were both alive. And I know some of our listeners might not have even, because it was about 19 years ago, so some of our listeners might not even remember it. I barely remember it. Bailey remembers more than I do. But we just
funny because I'm the younger one.
Yeah, which is very interesting. But we just wanted to talk about it. We didn't want this day to pass and we not acknowledge it. So yeah.
Yep. So Mallory, on that note, what do you remember from that day?
So I don't really remember it at all, to be honest. I was in the first grade. And my mom says, so I went to a Christian school at the time. My mom says that like our teacher told us that we prayed during class and everything. And I've talked about it recently with my parents. And my dad is a lawyer, and during that time he was practicing and he was in court and they told him to evacuate court. And he also said like they evacuated the courthouse in general.
Wow.
Because they were thinking that something could happen in Charlotte. Because Charlotte is, I think we're back to number 1 in banking. So nobody knew what was happening because that...
Right, why we were being attacked.
Right, and that was the first, since Pearl Harbor, which was in Hawaii, but that was first, like, mainland, I guess,
attack,
the U.S. Yeah, that was the first time we've ever been attacked, so nobody knew what was going on. So they were concerned that it was going to come to Charlotte. I have a friend who says she remembers her dad picking her up from school, like, right away, because, like I said, like, nobody knew what was happening. A lot of people were shocked because that stuff just never happened in America. Not in our years that we've been alive,
Yep.
and definitely not in our parents' lifetime.
Right.
So everybody was just shocked. And I think my mom said she was doing something and she saw it on the news, and like people were calling people and like the phone lines. And I remember my cousin was saying at one point he was supposed to be working in the building next door. But something happened, and there's tons of stories like this,
Yeah,
too.
where you were supposed to be there and you weren't.
Yeah, and something happened, and he ended up not being there, and it was like, what? That's right next door to where I'm working, and it was just, it was a crazy time.
The businessman who never drove his daughter to school and decided that day to drive her to school.
Yeah.
It was the one day that happened. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stories. And I think part of it, because my husband's the same way, he doesn't remember as much because they were in school, they saw it or they heard about it through teachers or their parents, but they didn't like see it. And for me, I wasn't quite in school yet. I was still in preschool, and so I was at home with my mom and she was getting ready for the day. And so, I think it's very different because for me, I just remember, I was a kid, I was watching the TV wasn't changing, the news wasn't changing. It was just focused on this burning building. And so I finally asked my mom, like, what's going on? And she could hear it from the bathroom where she was getting ready. And so she finally came in and was like, oh my gosh, and like freaked out. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? Because I'm 5. I didn't know. I had just turned 5. And so I remember it more, I think, because I was with my mom, someone who was freaking out.
Yeah.
I feel like those of you who were in school, you were focused on like the school day.
Right,
you didn't hear about it until after when you got home, and then they knew more about what had happened.
Right, and the teachers probably weren't like, oh my, like running around, oh my god.
Right.
They were probably told to like be chill and everything, especially the younger, like those of us that were younger.
Right, and especially, I mean, I'm sure it was different for those. I know in New York, everything shut down.
Oh yeah,
everybody went
yeah.
home and evacuate, like you said, everybody had to evacuate, and so But yeah, so I remember that. I just remember my mom being freaked out, and then the next plane hit the next building, and then as the buildings collapsed and all of that, we were watching, and just a crazy day. And then the numbers start coming out. The deaths. Yeah. The rescue missions, the people jumping from building. All of the things that you started to learn. It was just horrible. And then to find out it was, I mean, I think it was pretty clear as soon as the second plane hit that it wasn't an accident.
Yeah, I think the first one, everybody's like, oh my gosh, what
happened?
accident.
Yeah.
But the second one.
The airplane hit, yeah. And then the second one hit, and it was like, oh,
and that's the one everybody saw, because when you talk to people about it, they're like, oh yeah, I heard about the first one, but we watched the second one hit.
Right, because they started to report on it because it was like crazy. An accident happened, and
and then it happened again,
and you're like, okay, and then the Pentagon, and then there was the third plane that went down in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was Pennsylvania, and which I thought was amazing. The people that they wouldn't let them take it over, so the people on board of the plane, they attacked the people that were attacking the plane. I think that was
very brave.
That was so brave.
You know, of course, they lost their lives, but they saved countless lives.
And what always makes me cry is every year when they play the voicemails. Oh, that's just all, like, people left when they found out that they were dying.
The last ones,
yeah. The last voicemails, that always just like...
And that's, you know, it really did bring us together as a country. Because you just had to come together because nobody planned for that. Nobody ever prepares for a terrorist attack.
Right.
Nobody ever prepares to lose a loved one. It's just so awful. And so... I remember for me, they started playing God Bless America on the radio all the time. And at 5, I really enjoyed singing, and I would start singing. So I started singing God Bless America all the time. And it got to the point where I would start asking strangers, like, hey, have you heard me sing yet? And if they said no, I would just start singing God Bless America. And that's actually what got my mom to put me into pageantry, because she felt like, oh, if she's so outgoing and can sing, like, we should put her into pageants. And I was the first kid to sing in my talent. I was the first kindergartner to sing in my school's talent show. And I sang God Bless America. And then
patriot.
Yeah, really, truly. And so God Bless America was my song, and I sang the national anthem at a couple of events. And in terms of patriotism, everybody came together. Everybody cared for each other. Everybody was proud to be Americans and stand together united. And it's good that so much good could come out of something so tragic and so bad. Because obviously it was horrible.
And I mean, I guess also one of the biggest things is, like, things like that, they don't care what race you are. It doesn't care what gender you are. It doesn't care what religion you are. When people are evil, they're evil. And so everyone was attacked. Everyone was affected. And we as Americans, we thought that, we talked about this in high school, I remember, we thought that we were just different. We thought, oh, no one's going to hurt us. Everybody loves us. We're America. And it really brought things to...
made you look at it.
Yeah. And, like, we changed so much. Airports are so different now.
Security.
Before, you could just walk up. Like, if your loved one was leaving, you could just walk to the gate. To the gate and be like, oh, bye. Now, you know, you gotta get there an hour and a half early to get through security. Just so many things have changed. The fun fact, I don't necessarily know if this is because of terrorists, but I know that this is one of the things that's happened after. You know how, like, at Walmart, they have those big pillars right when you walk in? That's so if no one, like, crashes in to it stops them from, like, driving right up to rob the store and places like that. So, like, the U.S. changed. We changed drastically. And so, yeah.
And it needed to, I mean, after that, it was very apparent that there were a lot of holes in the system.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that anything bad can't happen now. It still could. You know, terrorists are always going to look for an opportunity.
Right.
But it definitely... created some more security.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, and you know, the plan obviously created by Osama bin Laden, who's since been eliminated.
Yeah. Thankfully.
Which is, yeah.
And I mean, Al-Qaeda, we don't really hear much about Al-Qaeda anymore either. So that was something good that came out of it. That's happened over the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, next year is going to be 20 years. That's quite a milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 20 years is going to be quite a milestone next year, but 19, you know, we're still praying for the families who have been affected. Those of you who've lost someone, just know that our prayers and our love are always with you.
Yeah.
The police officers, the firefighters, the first responders, everybody who is there on the scene and who's still continuously working now. I mean, these people sacrifice so much, and they're willing to put their lives on the line every single day to protect us.
Yeah.
It's so important. So thank your local enforcement, thank your local fire department, and God bless.
Yeah. Hey everyone, now we are going to answer a few frequently asked questions. All right, so here's our first question. This person says, am I crazy? I don't want my boyfriend being friends with his old crush. Bailey, what do you think?
It's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, it's not a hard fast or no.
Right, yeah, I can't for sure definitively say yes or no.
Yeah.
I'm friends with some of my ex-boyfriends, not even just crushes, but boyfriends. Not a lot of them, but a couple of them. And I think it depends on your history. Like, if it was just a crush, like my husband is friends with some of the girls he had crushes on, but you know, they were young and like it never went anywhere. It wasn't like this big dramatic thing. Like, to me, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing to be friends with anybody. But I can see where it's awkward and a little bit weird. So I think just knowing the story of like how long were they crushing? Was it like years that they were pining over somebody and wanted them really badly and they just could never get them?
Yeah.
Or was it like, oh, she's cute, and then like nothing ever happened, they were just friends, and it was like, okay, well, yeah, I guess not.
Yeah. I guess my thing, like you said about the pining thing, like if this old crush all of a sudden said, hey, let's be together, would he drop you to go with her?
Right.
It just, there's a lot of factors. I think it's cool for guys and girls to be friends, and I think exes can be friends. I'm not friends with any of mine, but I think it's possible.
See, and the boyfriends that I'm still friends with were like high school, like really young, like not even real relationships.
Okay, yeah,
it was just like, oh yeah, he's my boyfriend, but he wasn't really. And so to me, it's like we didn't really even date officially.
Yeah. Okay,
and so it's like that I don't feel, because again, like you said, I would never drop my husband for him. Like it's like we both realized like this is not gonna happen. This is not gonna work. Like we're never gonna be a good couple. And so why not be friends? Like we were good friends, but we just weren't a good match. And like, I know that. My husband knows him. They're friendly with each other. I mean, like, I don't think that that's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I think, you know, the situation is just very dependent on the details.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. Like, you have to be a little bit more detailed. And also, too, like, what are you... Another thing that you have to think about, like, even if everything is fine, or, like, even if there's no things and you still feel uncomfortable, you have to look at why you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Because you could feel uncomfortable for your own, because of insecurity, or you could feel uncomfortable because maybe you see something in this old crush. Because if guys, like, don't know when girls like them. Like, that's just, like...
Right. If they're flirting. And at the end of the day, I think if you are uncomfortable with it and you address that... I mean, if it's your own insecurity... then you need to address that within yourself. Pray about it. Trust God with it. But at the end of the day, if you've gone through all of that, you realize it's not an insecurity, you feel like they are flirting or there's something weird about it, your significant other should respect you enough that I wouldn't say, like, force them to cut them out of their lives or be mean to them, block them, but, like, maybe don't talk to them as much. Maybe don't hang out with them. Don't see them. Like, you can still be friends on social media, see what's going on in each other's lives, but don't be messaging, don't be talking. And if you do message or talk, like, show it to your partner. Have them be part of the conversation. Include them in it. Make it like a 3-way conversation.
Yeah. Maybe make a group chat.
A group chat. So that they don't feel like something's going on behind their backs. That would be my advice.
Yeah, same.
All right. So, next question for you, Mallory. I mean, for me too, I can tell you my thoughts on it. But thoughts on online dating.
Woo, lots of thoughts. Okay, so I hate it. I hate online dating. I hate that it's a thing. With that being said, can't tell you how many times I have downloaded, deleted, and re-downloaded Bumble, Tinder, OkCupid, Coffee Meets Bagel, the little Christian one. Like, I hate it. But the thing is, especially we're in the middle of I guess I shouldn't quote it. Because it really
we are in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, it is a real thing. But, like, it's hard to meet people. And, like, online dating opens you up to people who you would not meet otherwise.
Yeah.
Like the people that I've like met up with or the people I've talked to, like I would not have met them otherwise. So it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say the good thing is, like I said, you meet new people that you would not have crossed paths with maybe.
Yeah.
Also, I know tons of people who have met people online and gotten married, so it works for some people. Don't know why it doesn't work for me.
My mom and my stepdad met online.
Yeah, like it works for some people.
Yeah.
Doesn't work for me. It hasn't worked for me.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I think for a lot of people, like my mom had gone on a couple of dates from online dating that didn't work out at all. Like, I think most people have like the it didn't work out experience, and until it does work out, like it's always going to end in that, right? Like until you're getting married, it's never going to work out.
Right.
And so, you know, I think a lot of people like online dating doesn't work out a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean it was a bad experience.
That's fair.
And like, I don't know, I've got mixed feelings because I did online dating before I met my husband, and I ended up meeting him at work. So like Mallory said, I think you meet a lot of people that you wouldn't ordinarily meet. I think that can be good and bad, obviously, just like anything. But I feel like these days people go out less. Like, I think it used to be you'd go out to dinner, you'd go out to the bar, you'd go out because you had to meet people. And now you just go online and you can sit in your living room. It's kind of nice to be able to do some more reconnaissance on them. You know, look at their Facebook,
That's fair.
Look at their profile. Like, you get to know who they are before you meet them. But then you're also kind of judging the book by its cover. You don't really give them a fair chance because you, like, see something. Like, I know there are things that are on my Facebook that I liked, like, 10 years ago that I didn't even realize that I liked. And so people see that, oh, she likes this. And, like, I don't even remember that I liked it.
Yeah, fair.
So I think it's good to give somebody a chance on a date. I mean, obviously, if their profile is like loaded up with stuff you don't like, that's different than just seeing one thing that they liked and maybe you're not into. Yeah,
and I think that, I mean, the other problem for me, I think, is as a Christian woman and as someone who is abstinent, you know, trying to wait till marriage and everything, I think one of the biggest problems is online dating is like fast. It's hookup culture. It's and you know, I'm not perfect. Start off with that. But you know, it's hard to find people who have the same values. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've like told a guy I'm abstinent, and then I'm like waiting for him to reply, and then I look and like he unmatched with me.
Put out there. So I don't know. I feel like it's a bad advertising card.
I don't put it in my profile.
But I'm just saying if you did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if that would help because then they would know right away and it's just like skip you anyway. Because
I don't think it would help because I think that makes guys that would want to be with me try to
push you over.
Push me over because I do think that girls, like, there have been girls that say that just to say it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I don't think it would necessarily
Well, then it's
help.
like a challenge.
Yeah, I don't think it would necessarily help. But on Bumble now, you can have, like, if you're conservative, you can have if you're, like, your religion and stuff like that. So I think that helps a little bit. That helps weed out people. But, I mean, still, like...
just, like, for me, meeting my husband at work, like, we didn't know we just met in the office. We didn't know anything about each other. We didn't know anything about our values. We had to talk to get to know each other.
Right.
I still could have met plenty of men who didn't share my values, who still wanted to push me over the edge, even if it wasn't online. Right. So, I mean...
It's just, I feel like the difference between that and, like, online is you're meeting so many people so fast.
Yeah, well, and you do get to know someone by chatting for a long time, and so it feels like by the time you go on your first date, you know them, because it's like, oh, we've been talking for, like, 3 weeks. It's like, yeah, you've messaged each other, like, 5 times over 3 weeks, so you feel like you know them, but you don't. Yeah. And so I do feel like it kind of then puts that pressure on of, like, oh... it's the third date, whatever, you know, like, you get those kind of feels, and it's like, yeah, but we've never met before, like, I don't know you. Not that would happen anyway on the third date, but, like, even still, I don't know you.
And I mean, to your point, the other thing I don't like about it is how a lot of times you meet this person, you're texting him all of a sudden, you're like, oh, we get along so well. You're texting them all the time. You guys are sending each other memes. Now you follow each other on Instagram.
It's so easy to show your best self via text.
Yes. And then when you're doing it, and then something happens, and all of a sudden, like, you guys stop. I think that's my problem with the whole online dating hookup culture. I can't tell you how many times that has happened, and I hate it. Yeah. Like, you like someone, or you're beginning to, not even maybe like them, but you're beginning to like someone, and everything is going really well, and you're super into each other, and then all of a sudden it's just like, you know what, I'm done. And then he doesn't tell you, but you've already kind of built up like your feelings a little bit, and then I guess it's just like on to the next one. And that's the part I think that I hate the most.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, that's online dating. How do you know if God wants you to date someone?
That's a great question. I would say, just like with anything, a lot of prayer. You know, God gives wisdom liberally to those who ask for it. And I think that you'll see yourself growing in spiritual, godly ways when you look, like, that's how you can also see your journey of sanctification, right? Like, once you come to Christ, you're not perfect, you're still a sinner, you're still gonna be, and you repent and you work towards trying to not sin, but you're still gonna slip up and have mistakes. But the more that you grow in your faith, the more you grow in your Christianity, the more you start to see things as sins that you didn't really realize were sins. So there's plenty of things like that we all know when we first come to Christ, like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But there are things you don't even know are sins until way down the road.
Right.
And then again, at that point, you still need to repent of it and come clean, even if you didn't know it was a sin for 5 years after you became a Christian, whatever. And so I think you measure yourself by spiritual growth, you know, fruits of the Spirit. You see all of those things. And I think that if you're in a good relationship with somebody who has those values, you're going to see those things enhanced. They're going to bring the best out of you. You're going to bring the best out of them. That doesn't mean you're going to not have bad days, have slip-ups, have things that happen. I think a lot of people get mistaken with, like, oh, God didn't want this relationship to work out, or God wasn't, like, calling me to this person, or I just felt God calling me away from this person. Like, a lot of it's insecurity, but there is a lot of prayer and wisdom, and sometimes you do just get that natural instinct of, like, this isn't right. And I think just seeing the signs of how you're growing. Are you growing together? Do you bring out sides of each other that you don't normally see in yourself? And are they good? You know, are they good sides or are they bad sides? Are they pushing you to do things that you don't like or you don't agree with? Or are they growing you, helping you, feeding your soul? Like, that's a big thing. Also, for me as a woman, I feel like, is he leading me? Is he going to be a good spiritual leader? Yeah. Like, all guys have their lazy days, their moments where they're not going to be great leaders. Like, it doesn't mean that they're 100% on it all the time.
Right.
But, like, but I'm looking for someone, or I was looking for someone that was going to lead me spiritually, who was going to want to read the Bible and pray with me and grow with me and share my values and raise the kids the same way. Did that mean we agreed on everything? No. Did that mean we have debates? Of course we did. But it's just knowing that you're with someone who shares your values and wants to grow with you in your relationship with God.
Yeah. And to that point, can you see yourself submitting to that person? Could you submit to that person? Are they submitted to God? Because if someone's not submitted to God, then you can't submit to them.
Right, because he submits to God, you submit to him.
Yeah.
And if they're not submitting to God, then it's going to be really difficult for you to follow his lead and not be led astray.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to add one more thing to what Bailey said. So I grew up Christian and did the whole Christian school thing, and they had us make a list of our negotiables and non-negotiables. My biggest non-negotiable is a relationship with Jesus, and not just like a Christian, because I've learned there's a difference.
There is a difference between a Christian and a relationship with Jesus.
Yes. So that is a non-negotiable for me. A negotiable for me is a good photographer. That is something that I want because I like taking pictures, and I would like a man that can take good pictures of me.
But if you can't, you'd still marry him.
Right.
Because he's got a relationship with Jesus, he's a good man. It's not necessary.
Right. So I think that, like, if you have your list of another non-negotiable for me is being a conservative. Like, you don't have to necessarily be like super into politics, but I need our values to be the same. So if I go down my non-negotiable list and you mark all those things, I feel like that is kind of a way that God is saying, okay, this is a possibility. Now, if I do look at my negotiables and there's not a single thing on negotiables, I do think that's a little bit something too. Like, you want to be someone you're compatible with.
Right.
Like, you know, I like nerdy Doctor Who type stuff, but like, if I'm watching Doctor Who and he's like, oh my God, turn that trash off, and he puts on like sports and like sports. Okay, we're probably not really compatible.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right. I don't think we should break up over that, but I'm just saying,
that's a negotiable.
That's a negotiable, but I do think like...
Well, and that's the thing is, like, my husband and I don't have a lot of those things in common. Like, he likes TV shows I don't like. I like TV shows he doesn't like. We can hardly ever agree on a movie to watch because I like romantic comedies. He likes action or scary movies. Like, it's hard for us to find a lot of things to agree on when it comes to that. But when we do find something, it's fun and we enjoy it. And I think the thing is being respectful. Like, he would never go, oh, turn that trash off.
Right. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say more.
And so it's being respectful of each other where you do disagree.
Yeah.
But I would say, I think you and I both feel that two people that are Christians who actually have a relationship with Jesus can make their relationship work.
100%. I fully believe you can marry anyone if you both have a relationship with Jesus and if you both decide you want it to work. I think the pretty princess of Princess Town could marry the Downy Downerton of downtown, as long as they're Christians and they want to make it work.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty princess from Pinkerton should probably marry the Prince of Pinkerton. I think it'll be easier.
It'll be easier. You'll have less struggles, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be better.
Right. That's a good point, too.
Like, people, sometimes opposites attract. Sometimes the exact same person attracts. I don't think there's any rules to it.
Agreed.
To what you have to be. It's great. Like, my husband and I, we balance each other out. I've got strengths that he doesn't have. He's got strengths that I don't have. We really do balance each other out. We respect each other for those different gifts.
Yeah.
We've got some things in common. We've got some things that are complete opposites.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I think with anybody, you're going to find plenty of things that you love about that person, that you adore, that you think are perfect. And you're going to find plenty of things that you're like, can you never do that again? And they're going to want to. And they're going to do it again because it's not necessarily a sin or unbiblical or wrong. It's just annoying to you. It's just something you don't prefer or you don't like. But that doesn't mean that you break up with them or you think like, oh, this wasn't meant to be. Because I don't believe in you have that perfect soulmate that's going to walk into your life and fit 100%. Like, you're going to have struggles, you're going to fight, you're going to argue, there are going to be bad things. But it shouldn't be like that all the time. If you're fighting like cats and dogs all the time, I mean,
then
obviously
there's a problem.
It's different once you get married. Once you're married, like, you go to counseling. I mean, not that you shouldn't go to counseling in a relationship. You could do that. If you're in a relationship, you're dating, and you fight all the time, you could go to counseling and try and work through it. But once you've made that choice to be married, like I said, you make it work. Yeah. You don't get a divorce. That's not the answer. You go to counseling, you work on it, and both of you have to be committed to Christ and committing to change. Yeah. And that's a big thing, is like, I feel like a lot of people say that, oh, just go to counseling. Well, if one person's not willing to go or work towards Jesus or follow Jesus, then you're in trouble because you both have to commit to that. Yeah. But yeah, I think, knowing if God wants you to date someone, I think is more, are you glorifying God in your relationship?
And I want to add this too, because I know that with my ex, this was kind of like one of our problems when we were deciding to date. It's not like God is going to come and sit on your lap and say, hey, baby girl, this is the one. Okay, come on, let's go. It's not like he's going to get married. Yeah, it's not like he's going to do that. I mean, he might. Some people do. Thank you. Some people do get that. Like, I have a friend, she said, like, God straight up told her that's the one. And that's okay. But it's not always going to be like that, and I think you should be open to that. Yeah. And God speaks to us all very differently.
Absolutely.
So I have this problem too, because God speaks to some of my friends a little bit differently. So like, things will happen and I'm like, dang, God didn't say anything to me, or like, why haven't I gotten or heard anything? But it's just God. We all have our own relationship with God. In different ways. Yeah. So I just want, if you're thinking about that, I just want you to remember that, like, He's not always going to come and like hold your hand and be like, that's the one right there, and here's a picture of your kids, and that doesn't happen to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I think that blends into the next question, which is, can opposing religions be in a relationship?
Ooh, can I go first? Or did I just go first?
No, you can go first.
Okay. All right. No. Okay. So here's my take on this. I think you have a little bit of a different take, right? Or
a little bit, not super though.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. I think opposing religions is difficult in general because different religions have different morals. A lot of them have the same though. I think for the most part, every religion says murder is wrong. That's for sure. But like, for example, Muslims can't eat pork. Yeah, they can't eat pork. So it would be hard. For example, I'm a Christian, so I love me some bacon. So it wouldn't be fair, or I guess it would be fair, but I don't think it would be easy to date someone or to marry someone who can't enjoy the bacon with me, or like I'd have to stop doing the bacon. It'd be very, very difficult. And back to the Christian thing, the Bible also tells us not to be unequally yoked. Right. So you shouldn't, specifically if you're a Christian. I think that other religions, I guess it might be a little bit easier, maybe, because also too, we're the only religion that says Jesus is the only way to heaven.
Right.
Every other religion puts in other type of stipulations. I think that would be very hard to date someone that you don't necessarily believe is going to heaven.
Right. Well, and that's where I fall in this. So the way the question is worded is, can opposing religions be in a relationship? And to me, opposing sounds like you butt heads. And to me, no. If you're opposing, if you're opposing, then no. But if you're in just different religions, I guess I would say it depends on what those religions are. Because some people, like, I didn't realize when I moved to North Carolina, denomination matters a lot more out here than it did in Albuquerque. Like, in Albuquerque, you were just a Christian. And we didn't label our church. Like, out here, it's you're a Lutheran, you're a Methodist, and I think a lot of those religions are so similar in that they both believe in the same God. They both believe that Jesus is the way to heaven. Right, it's the Christian bubble. Yeah. So I guess, it depends on how you would define religion. Because I think those religions can be in a relationship, and there might be some argument, some things you hash out.
Like, theologically,
theologically. Like, even in Bible study, I went to the same church with a group of 10 people, and we all had things, we went over this, what's essential and what's non-essential. Because there are things in the Bible that are absolutely essential if you're going to be a Christian. Right. And then there are things that, like, people have different opinions on and are more or less open for debate. Yeah. And you can see, there's scripture for different sides of it. Right. And so I think that, I think like you said, if you're, and, I think anybody at some point down the road in your relationship could change. Like, I think, like, if an atheist marries an agnostic, both of you could come to some religion at some point. Yeah. And then things are going to change. But I think going into it with that intention, like knowing that they're a different religion, is not gonna work out well. Yeah. I think you have to be the same religion, or know that it's just gonna be arguments about. I mean, how do you raise your kids?
I was about to say, raising the kids.
And even if you raise your kids under both, and you take them, like you go to synagogue and you go to church and you do, whatever your religions may be, if you celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas, like you celebrate everything, I think that's just going to leave a lot of questions still to who's right, who's wrong, why do mom and dad disagree, like I don't really feel like it's healthy.
I don't think so either.
I feel like we have the same opinion. Again, it just depends on like how you define religion. Like, can a Methodist and a Lutheran be together? I think so. Yeah. Like, if you believe...
It's going to be interesting. I would love to see that.
But see, to me, again, I don't even really... And that's maybe my problem, is that I don't know the denominations well enough. But I think they believe in the Bible together. They believe in Jesus together. They believe in the same God. Jesus is the only way to heaven. The truth, the light, and the way. I mean, they believe the essentials. Yeah. They just disagree on the non-essentials. And to me, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, too. I think disagreeing on the non-essential is not that big of a deal. It's just the big things that are going to make a difference. Because, like you said earlier, too, about the morals, like, certain religions just have different morals. Certain things are morally correct. Certain things are not morally correct.
Well, and if you're a faith or a works-based faith, where you think works get you into heaven, and your spouse isn't, and they're not doing works, you're going to be constantly concerned you're not going to heaven, you're not doing enough. Like, that's just not going to work well. So like you said, when the stipulation is Jesus is the only way to heaven, and you both agree on that, then you can disagree about the other things, debate it, talk about it, and I think you can have different opinions fall on different areas. But the way to heaven, the way that the religion functions, I think, there's a whole list of essentials and non-essentials, and again, every religion thinks that's different, every person thinks that's different. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the big conversation to have with somebody, is what are your essentials, what are your non-essentials? If you agree on the essentials, it's okay to debate the non-essentials. But if you don't agree on the essentials, then I think that that's going to be a very difficult relationship to be in.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, I agree. All right, so to finish out the episode, we'll go something non-relationship based. What's the longest book series you've ever read?
The longest book series I've ever read was Left Behind, the Kids Left Behind series. There's 40 books, and I was obsessed and read through all of them.
How long are they?
The books are like, they were kids, or maybe they were even teens, so they were probably like 200 pages, not a lot.
That's pretty hefty for
for
having 48 books.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not a big book when you think about, like, some books are like 1,000 pages, but...
Yeah, that's true. It was,
200 times 48, that's a lot of pages.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a really good series, too, because it was basically the Left Behind adult book, but from kids' perspectives, and then it just kept going and kept going and kept going, and then we got all the way up to when Jesus came back, and it was good. It was good.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
So for me, I guess it would be the Harry Potter series. There's 7 books, so that's... Now, I mean, I read a lot of series. Like, when I was young, I was into reading, so I read the whole Hunger Games series. I read Twilight, I read Harry Potter, I read the Hunger Games. Did I say the Hunger Games right? I did.
The first one.
The Maze Runner. That's the other one.
Oh, I have never read that, but I saw the first movie.
Well, they're okay. I mean, the first one's really good.
Yeah.
And then you think it's going to go somewhere different, and it doesn't. So it kind of... And then they just kept going, and it was too long. There's the series called The Uglies. That was a really good series.
That changed my life.
Wasn't that so good? I love that book series. I really want to reread those.
Me
They're
too.
so
I was
good.
just thinking that. We should read a book club. We should start a Those Other Girls book club. And our first book will be The Uglies.
So that was a really good book series. There are so many. I was a reader.
Nancy Drew. Did you read Nancy Drew?
I didn't get into those.
Okay.
No. So that's the thing is I read a lot of different series, but I didn't read long ones.
Okay, yeah.
So Harry Potter 7 books was the longest series that I read through.
Yeah. I would read Nancy Drew. And Mary Kate and Ashley, they had a detective agency. But I didn't read all of them, but I would read the random ones.
Sure.
Dear America series, did you read those? Okay, well, yeah. Those were
different books, lots of different books.
Yeah.
We obviously grew up in different worlds.
Yes, we really did.
And that's good. That's good.
No,
so we've got lots of books that we like together.
Yeah.
And lots of books to show each other. So
Yeah.
I didn't know, nobody else that I've met outside of like my friends who read it in school has read The Uglies.
That's so, okay, so it's so good. So everybody in my little friend group read it. And then I'm like, oh my God, so good. Then we all ended up buying Pretties together. And we all individually read our own Pretties book. And then we read specials. And then there was that other one that was
not so
awful.
Because, they kind of changed the characters. And they didn't continue the story. And it was like, no thanks.
Yeah. But like Uglies, like you know what though?
They were going to make a movie.
I know! Girl, I know. Sorry. I get excited.
But no, they were going to make a movie, and I watched it online. Like, I would look up The Uglies pretty consistently, like, once every couple months.
So did we.
And, like, I was convinced that I was going to be Tally Youngblood. Like, I was going to be Tally in the movies. I was living in LA at the time. I was dead convinced.
Bailey, I thought I was going to audition and be Shay.
See, we would be...
That's
okay,
so great.
So if you guys decide to make the movie...
Oh, my God.
Tally, Shay.
Oh my, Bailey, what if, in another timeline, what if
that could have happened? Yeah. But no, I was living in LA and I was dead convinced that I was going to audition and play Tally. So that was a dream of mine.
Yeah. I thought I was going to play, I legitimately was like, well, now I wasn't in LA. I was in Charlotte with, in a very religious home. So I don't know why I thought that, but I really did. I thought I was going to discover me.
I was totally okay with getting plastic surgery, like getting a nose job and like, whatever they wanted me to do to play Tally. Because, in the book, it changed. So for Pretties, I would have been totally okay with, like, changing my body to make myself look good.
So, quick question. I just thought of that, though. How are they going to, I guess, CGI. Now it makes more sense and, like, more likely it'll look better if they do it.
No, I think what they would need to do if they're going to do it right would be to, like, do some prosthetic, like, make my nose bigger.
Yeah.
Make you look more, like... Maybe draw your eyebrows on a little thicker and unkept and like make you naturally look uglier, like frizz my hair more, like make me uglier for the first movie and then just take all that off for the next one where you're prettier.
Yeah. And
probably do a little CGI enhancement and
stuff. Yeah. And then for specials, just like freak you out, put like tattoos.
Right, and that's easy. That's stuff you can do. CGI, no problem. Or like makeup is no problem.
Okay, we should start a GoFundMe to pay for it. We should do a GoFundMe and oh my gosh,
find
that would be
find
a studio.
And I always felt like I was weird for liking like young adult, like teenage novels still. Because I'm like, everybody's like, oh, grow up. I'm like, I don't want to grow up.
No.
Like, those are the best books. Like,
reading is an escape.
Oh, Divergent series. I don't know if I said that one.
No, but my dad saw the first like 2 movies and thinks they're like so good. Well, the plot is really good.
Yeah,
my dad thinks the plot's amazing.
I mean, as always, the books are better than the movies.
Of course.
And I think the thing is, you have to go into it and know they're going to cut a lot of things. They're going to change some things because you can't, unless you make like a 15-hour movie, you can't encompass everything that was in a book.
Fair.
Like, you have to eliminate some stuff. And some of it doesn't play well on screen. Like, there are scenes that are not awkward in a book because you're reading it and, like, you get to hear their thoughts and, like, in a movie, it just doesn't come across well because you can't see what they're thinking. Even if you have a really good actor who can show it on their face, like it just isn't the same. And
Percy Jackson, perfect example. I didn't
read the books or see the movies.
Okay,
so I'm out on that one.
Well, they butchered the movie. Same with Maximum Ride. Did you read the Maximum Ride series? You would have loved those, I think.
Anyway, that's what we've got for you. Books, relationships. If you have any more questions, please submit them to us. Yeah. Instagram, Facebook. If you have our numbers, text us.
Yeah. Email. You can even email us questions if you have questions about anything.
hello.thoseothergirls@gmail.com. That's hello.thoseothergirls@gmail.com. Send us your questions.
Yeah.
We're happy to answer them. We'll have more episodes like this coming for you guys soon. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of Those Other Girls. Make sure you also listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, and make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, and you share this with all of your friends.
And make sure you follow us at Those Other Girls Podcast on Instagram.